10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In our first episode of our Womancial Advice segment, we will be discussing the theme, Secret Ways to Budgeting. So don't forget to subscribe, like, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Ready? Let's go. Hi everyone, thank you again for tuning in to my YouTube channel. I'm your host, Kyla Wright, and in our first episode of our Womancial Advice segment, we will be discussing the theme, Secret Ways to Budgeting. We'll be discussing three major topics. We'll be discussing the importance of budgeting. We'll be discussing how do you budget and stay consistent in budgeting. We'll also be discussing how do you budget and have a fun vacation or time? And to walk us through all of this is none other than our guest speaker, Jossette Jolly, financial advisor. Hi, Jossette. How are you?
Kyla, I'm doing well. How are you?
I am extremely happy that you're here. I'm extremely happy that we have an ex-woman on board to really guide us, and the fact that you're educated in this field and to help other women to, be educated about how we can budget, because I'm not even going to have any pride about it. I do have a problem with budgeting. Hands down, have a big problem with budgeting. So I'm not even going to beat around the bushes. So getting the guidance from you and the tips and tricks, trust me, it would be very helpful. So I'm very grateful that you're here to grace us with your presence, to, impart your knowledge on us. I am very grateful. So thank you so much for being here, Jossette.
And thank you for having me. And I'm excited to talk about this topic because, like you mentioned, a lot of people don't like it, but that's okay. I'll try to break it down into a simpler way that can probably make you feel more comfortable in getting into developing a budget for yourself. So I'm really excited and I can't wait to share my little tips and tricks.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right. So Jossette, tell us a little bit about, your history in the financial industry. Just a little brief, synopsis.
Okay, so I got into finance when COVID hit. Can you imagine? Pandemic time and I'm going into finance. Wow. But yes, I decided to become a financial advisor during COVID. A little bit after COVID. So I've been in the business for a year and a month now. And I love my job. Being able to sit and help individuals get on a path of financial freedom is everything for me. And so I love my journey so far. Some people will say, oh, I'm still a baby, but listen, I have a lot of knowledge to share regardless. And so yes, I am a financial advisor with Sagicor, and I love my job, like I said before, and I can't wait to just share some tips and tricks with you guys on how to make this easier for you.
Thank you so much, Jossette. And I'm just blown by, you said that, people still look at you as a baby, but I mean, this is you put yourself out there. You said in COVID time, that's when you decided to go into finance. Young or not, you are ambitious. And, a part of this program is women empowerment, and to just look at that. I mean, the adversity that you're faced with is COVID. Right? And regardless of COVID, you still say, all right, Jossette, we are going to make the dream come true, regardless of the adversity. Because what would a victory feel like if you don't go through that storm, if you don't go through that adversity, and you put yourself out there as a woman and you get what you need to get. And that is commendable. That is commendable.
You can't wait around. Any opportunity that you see to better yourself, jump at it. Whether you're afraid or not, it will literally work itself out. So I encourage anybody here, if you have an opportunity that is waiting for you and you're afraid, don't be afraid.
Amen.
Don't be afraid.
Women, I hope you're taking notes. This lady, Miss Jolly, she decided to pursue her finance dream in the adversity of the COVID-19 pandemic. People, that's not a normal strength. For those that don't understand my dialect a while ago, that's not normal strength.
It wasn't an easy task. It wasn't an easy task, but I'm happy, you know. Not to say that my job is easy. It's not easy, but like I said, my clients make it an easy job for me, you know. When I see them achieving their goals, I'm on top of the world. Nothing can stop me. So again, ladies, if you see an opportunity out there, don't be afraid. Do not be afraid. Put your best foot forward and trust and believe that it will happen. And if that opportunity was not meant for you, another one is coming. So just stay focused and put your best foot forward.
Just like you're diving in already.
Feminist, you know, I am a feminist. I believe that females should, you know, have everything in order and, you know, be independent and be free and, you know, just be able to take care of yourself and do certain things for yourself without having to depend on anybody. So I fully support what you're doing in terms of educating females on how to structure yourself, structure your life, and structure your goals so that you can achieve them fast and better.
Right. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Thank you. All right, Jossette. So let us dive right into it, right? The most important part, why we're here. So Jossette, tell us, why is budgeting so important? I mean, I know you mentioned COVID, not to cut you. I know you mentioned COVID. So, you know, ever since COVID came, you know, it took the world by a complete surprise.
Right, by storm.
A lot of us, you know, we just hands and back against the wall, like what is happening, place lockdown, curfew, can't go supermarket, don't have much savings. You know, you start getting frantic, you know. So I mean, considering COVID as well, you know, how important is budgeting?
Extremely important. It is extremely important. Like you can't do this without a budget. You understand? You have to have a budget, even if it means that you're gonna write down your things on a piece of paper. You have to have a budget. So it's very, very important. And a lot of people just take it for granted. You have to know and understand that, hey, I'm making a certain amount of money, but you also need to be able to track how you're spending your money. You can't just be making money and spending it, and then at the end of the month or in the middle of the month, you realize that you don't even have money to go to work. So having a budget is extremely important, and I wrote down some little points as to why it's important to have a budget. But firstly, I'm going to explain what our budget is in layman terms, simply put. Simply put.
Right.
A budget is the process of creating a plan to literally help you track and monitor your money.
Right.
Plain and simple. That's all a budget is. It's not something fancy or complicated. It is literally just a way for you to see how much money you make, right, and how that money is being spent and what you're doing correctly and what you're doing incorrectly. That's literally what your budget is, right? So the importance is, well, some of the important reasons of having a budget is it helps you to control your spending. Like I mentioned before, you can't be making a certain amount of money and in the middle of the month, you don't know where it that don't make no sense whatsoever. You have to be able to control your spending. You have to be able to track your spending. You have to be able to track who you're giving money to, how much money you're spending with this person. It's very important.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, Jossette, because I remember, like, a lot of time in my life, as I said, all pride gone. You understand? Because this is like, I'm not going to be the student in the class and the teacher asks, everybody understand? And you don't put up your hand and you don't understand because you're full of pride. I'm going to tell people, I have a problem with budgeting, straight up. So anybody else out there, and you know you have a problem with budgeting, this is it. And the Kyla Wright is on here to express her shortcomings in budgeting, because I have a problem, a big problem with budgeting.
Well, I am here to help, not to worry. We're gonna get you on a budget, not to worry.
Just that when I look at my e-statement, when I pull that e-statement and I'm looking at how much I'm spending in fast food, And I'm like, Kyla, this is
I don't even
ridiculous.
reach there, so yes.
This is ridiculous. I'm like, all your money is going into food. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Food. And you look at it like,
have to cut it off, or you're gonna have to minimize the amount of time that you're spending, the amount of money that you're spending on fast food. So instead of going to KFC 6 times for the month, you have to cut it down to at least 2.
right?
1 time for the month. KFC is just your little treat for the month. You can't be spending so much money
on. And then the funny part about it is that when I look at the e-statement and I say, all right, and it's when you look at your statement and you realize how much you're spending, that's when you start to say, oh boy, I have to cut down on this, I have to cut down on that. You're quickly saying, okay, I'm gonna go buy grocery and go and, start cooking and carrying lunch to work and all of those things. And when you start to you realize how drastically you start to have some money saving back. And then when you start to pencil out, you're traveling, persons who take the public transportation, taxi or JUTC, that is our Jamaica Urban Transmit Company in Jamaica, that's our bus system. And once you realize that you start to put these things into perspective, you realize, oh wow, but you do it for a short time.
Right.
You're not
You don't stick to it. You don't stick to it, but we don't stick to all of those things. You don't stick to it. Another reason that I want to look at is it helps you to get out of debt, right? Having a budget, and like I said, seeing where your money is being allocated, you're now able to shuffle around things to help you get out of debt. So if you have a lot of expenses, as you mentioned with the KFC, instead of going to KFC 6 times for the month, go 1 time for the month and use that money that you have and probably pay off a loan that you owe on. And I always advise my clients and even anybody, always tackle your big debt first. Always. Don't tackle the smaller ones. No.
Just that you should have told myself to carry a pen and paper, man.
Don't worry, I will send you some notes.
I keep diving back into my dialect, my Jamaican dialect. I just told Jossette that she should have told me to carry a pen and a paper so that I can take my notes.
I will send you some notes after.
Thank you.
Tackle your big debt first, because guess what? What that does is when you pay off that big debt, you're gonna have more cash available to yourself to handle the smaller ones, and you're able to pay it off faster than you expected, right? So having your budget and seeing where you're allocating certain money to, if it's not necessary, remove it and apply it to your debt, pay off your debt, and see if you can balance back your expenses to at least under 50%. You're trying to live either right on the margin of your means or below your means. Plain and simple, right? Another thing is it pushes you to make better financial decisions. If you're consistent using your budget and you realize that, hey, I'm saving, I have a little bit more cash flow, you're now going to start thinking, okay, I'm saving up some money. What can I do with this money? Get an investment portfolio. Put that money to work for you. You understand? You work so hard for this money. Put the money to work.
True.
Put the money to work and ensure that wherever you're placing your money or whatever investment portfolio that you're going to be a part of, ensure that it is always edging against inflation. Meaning, ensure that it is above the inflation rate. You always want to ensure that $100,000, all right, look at it this way. $100,000 now is not going to value the same 3 months from now. Gas price will go. Food will go. Inflation gone up. You understand? So you have to take that money out of your savings and put it into an investment portfolio that can continuously work for you and continuously put a little something on your investment. It don't make no sense you have it in the bank. The returns on the bank is not good enough for you to benefit from it in the long run. So it helps you to make better financial decisions. It helps you to add more tools to your financial portfolio when you have a budget, right? Also, it helps you to prepare for emergencies. Now, a lot of people in Jamaica don't have an emergency fund. I was talking to somebody the other day and I'm like, listen, about 8 out of 10 people, if you should ask them, if you have an emergency right now and you're supposed to find $50,000, are you able to go into your pocket and find that $50,000? And majority of them will tell you, say, them can probably only find 10, half of it, or them probably can find some and them have to go borrow some from somebody else. You don't have an emergency fund, right? So when you have a budget, you're able to sit down and put a lot of things into consideration. You can't just be working like that and you not have no money saved up for a rainy day. And your emergency fund, a lot of people take this thing for granted. A lot of people think that, oh, I have an emergency fund, I need for a dream week and I'm going to use that money. No. Your emergency fund is exactly for what it is called, an emergency. So for example, if you lose your job suddenly, your emergency fund should be able to take care of you and your expenses until you're able to get another source of income. So rule of thumb to anybody out there, always have 6 to 12 months of money put away or saved away for an emergency fund. And saved away, I'm not talking about putting it in a regular bank account. Get an investment fund. Make sure that the money is gradually growing. Don't have it just sitting there gathering dust. That won't help you. Right?
And some of the investment portfolios that you mentioned a while ago, can it be like, I know Barito has a separate branch for their investment. Is it like we can go to like Barito or Mayberry investment and, you know, like put aside a certain amount?
Or you can come to Sagicor. Investment portfolios that can suit your needs, you know, that's for another topic. But we do have some great plans at Sagicor that we can offer you guys as well.
Okay, guys, so you heard it here, guys. You do have investment portfolios at Sagicor, as what Ms. Jolly just mentioned. So you'll be able to go directly to her. We'll leave her details below in the description box, and you'll be able to contact her directly. That's fine. Just said to leave your number or your email.
That's fine. Yes, you guys can contact me via my work email or my work number, which she mentioned that she'll place in the description.
Right. So you heard it here, guys. So there are a lot of investment portfolios, and that's something.
Yes, but anybody with any type of budget, don't worry, we'll fix it. We'll work it out.
And that is important. I'm glad you touched on all of these things. I said I needed a notebook, I needed a pen, but I'm glad you said that you send me the details, because I mean, you know, it's very eye-opening to hear all of these things, you know, especially with the crisis that we're living in, our world is currently experiencing. You know, these things are important. Emergency fund, like, who knew COVID would have come? Who knew this pandemic would have come to the world? You know, and if we had taken steps as what you just mentioned, a lot of us would be in better situation, because it means that we'd have planned and put in perspective, like as you mentioned, the emergency fund. So, you know, having that emergency fund in COVID time, you know, you'll wait until COVID, you know, kind of dwindle down. So you'd save 6 to 12 months. So you'd be able to have those savings for that time period that COVID is currently happening, when you're under curfew and all of that, and you can go and get your grocery and all of that. So that's very important.
Yourself until you're able to get back to where you were.
And until the place starts to open up back, like COVID.
Exactly. That's the essence. Always have some money set aside, because you literally never know what can happen. And you're gonna need some money. You're gonna need cash. We can't survive without it. And what happened to a lot of people in the pandemic as well, because people didn't have an emergency fund, they ended up putting themselves in more debt, because now you're gonna have to go somewhere to get money from, and you have to pay back those people. So on top of all of the debt that you already had before COVID, you now added more debt during the pandemic, and now you're struggling to figure out, oh my gosh, how am I gonna get myself out of this debt? You need a budget. You need a budget.
Facts. That is so true. Absolutely true. And that's why this conversation is so important, guys, because we're in a very terrible time. I don't think it is as bad now as when it started in 2020, but it's something to consider because there are new diseases, new viruses just popping
Right,
up,
monkeypox is here now. We don't know what can happen.
So
And
they're
there's
just
a
popping
war
up.
going on in Russia.
And
Gas prices
Ukraine,
gone
right?
up. In Ukraine.
Right.
You never know what can happen. Always ensure that you have a rainy day fund. Basically, for those who don't understand when I say emergency fund, rainy day fund, or like when you're going out when you're young and your mother say make sure say you have a get vex money. This is your get vex money.
Yes, you don't get left a road, right?
No,
when
you don't get
upset,
left a road.
you have your dirty, clean money.
Right. So if anything should happen to you, and God forbid the employer say, listen, we're going to have to cut down on some staff, and unfortunately you're one of them. You don't have to worry, you don't have to fret. You can say, all right, then we can go on, hold on.
It's a good thing that I had savings. And what just said, I think just said meant with investment portfolio, and to not just put that saving in the bank and let it stay there. The investment, what it does, I believe, just it can be the one to correct and guide me, is that you can get additional money on top of the money that you have, basically, in a nutshell.
So look at it this way, right? All right, let me give you an example. You remember, was it Anansi, where them did tell the story about the porridge? So one have the porridge on the pot, and the other one have it in the sun. That's how it go?
Yes.
Yeah, look at it this way, right? So the one in the sun is the one that likes to save him money underneath a mattress. Yeah, right?
Right.
And the one on the pot and the stove is the one that have him money and an investment portfolio. His money is continuously working. In pot, I continue to bubble while the pot here over here so I get cold.
Right.
You understand? So you always have to ensure that your money is consistently working for you. Again, guys, you're working so hard to get this money. Why are you gonna make the money pop up, sit down in a regular savings account when you can have it working probably 10 times?
Yeah, because we complain all the time. We complain all the time that we work and then all our money go back into just going back to work and traveling and
the extra effort. Even if you can find a portfolio that can match your need at the time and your budget at the time, work with it until you're able to increase it. The bottom line is just start. It is better to start and have something going for you, as little as it may be, than to just sit down, fold your hand, and then when something happens, you're going to say, I have a little $5,000 put on somewhere. But what exactly can that $5,000 give you? Because from the time you were saving that $5,000, you could have probably go to the supermarket and get 3 bags of grocery. That $5,000 right now can probably only buy 2 items at the supermarket.
And so especially really because COVID is here. Things are skyrocket high.
It's going up. Everything gone up. So you now have to sit down and really and truly evaluate what it is that you want your money to do for you, and how is it that you want to benefit from all of this money that you're working so hard for. Is it that you're just going to continue to work and live hand to mouth, or you want to work and later down in the year, you save up enough money, or you allocate enough money in your budget, and you say, all right, then we can take a vacation. You then have to decide how you want to use your money, or how you want to benefit from your money. Have a budget, get a budget, put these things into place so you can monitor everything that is happening with your finances.
Thank you, Jossette. So that was a very substantial discussion on just the importance of budgeting, and I think persons definitely can say that they get how important it is by just this discussion that Jossette and I just had, and Jossette imparting this knowledge and basically eye-opening discussion with us. So Appreciate that, Jossette. Thank you so much for that. We're going to move on to our next topic, which is how to budget, and stay consistent, as well as are there any digital or technological ways to achieve this? For example, downloading an app designed to help us stay consistent in budgeting. And when I thought about this, I was really thinking about, a lot of us, we start and then we stop because we're not so disciplined. But what if you have an app that you can literally track your spending, your expenses, all of that? Because as Jossette mentioned earlier, budgeting is really being able to put these things into perspective, your expenses, all of that, doing what you're doing correctly, what you're doing incorrectly. So you'll be able to see all of that on an app. And you don't want to be like me, and when you see the statement, you're like,
what happened?
I'm spending too much. It'd be good if something can be there, tracking it for you, and you're realizing, oh no, this is all I have left at the moment, and I'm spending too much into this, and I'm spending too much into that. So I need to cut down on this, and I need to cut down on that. So just guide us with that topic.
Me, I use good old-fashioned Microsoft Excel. Yeah, it works for me, and I just keep it that way. It is simple, it is plain for me. You can remove what it is that you don't want, the categories that you don't want, and put in what it is that is really and truly happening in your life at the time. And I love my Excel. I am able to.
Is that already? Is that on a template right, so already?
They have templates on Microsoft Excel, and you just go and you just choose one that is easier for you to work with. And there are also some apps. I have an iPhone, so there are some apps on my Apple Store that sometimes I use, but I find that I am more comfortable with the Microsoft Excel instead of using some of the apps, because most of the apps are like US stores apps. So sometimes you can only get a limited amount of features on it or stuff like that. So I just stick to Microsoft Excel. However, if you guys do go on and you find an app that you're comfortable with, that works well for you, get on that app right now and start creating a budget. You literally have it in your phone wherever you go. So if you go in the supermarket and you spend X amount of money and whenever that it is supposed to put, you have to go come back again and put it in the app and try to find somewhere to cut back something else so that you can stay within your monthly budget. So I suggest that you guys find some apps. Like I mentioned, find something that you're comfortable with. If you want to be old-fashioned like me and use the Microsoft Excel, I can tell you it works wonders, so you guys can try that. And also, keep checking your budget. Don't just create the budget and leave it. See, she did say it before. I'm going to repeat it again. Guys, don't create your budget and just forget about it. That is a common mistake, and everybody is guilty of it. When I just started budgeting, I was guilty of it. I used to create my budget and never remember nothing about my budget. But at the end of the day, when you do that, it makes it harder for you, because what you're gonna do is you're gonna start spending on a whim. Oh, I remember the budget out of my head, so an extra $2,000 not gonna hurt me, or extra $3,000 not gonna hurt me. And you continue this trend, and when you go back to check your budget at the end of the month, you're completely lost, because they say, hold on, the budget was just an extra 3,000 or an extra fat. No, you have to continuously check your budget. As you spend, you have to continuously update your budget so that you can know if you're going above your means, right? So how I normally tell people to start their budget in terms of the figure to work with, you have to look at your net income. So your gross income is what is the figure before any taxes or any deductions is taken from it, right? And your net income is what you get after your taxes has been paid, or your pension, or if you have something that is being deducted from your salary. I know some people will have like the car payments deducted from them salary. After all of that is taken out, the figure that is left, that is your money. So that is what you basically center your budget around. You have to look at what it is that you're getting and how you're going to allocate each money to whatever need that it is that you have, right? And also, you have to differentiate from your needs and your wants. Two completely different things, and people mix them up so easily. Your needs are things that you need in your day-to-day. You need food, you need water, you need electricity, you need internet, you need gas in your car to go to work. You understand? You have to pay your utilities, you have to. Those are your needs, especially if
All right, guys, I am not sure what is happening, but it seems like we're having just a little bit of some technical difficulties. Hey guys, as a result of the technical difficulty, we will see you in part 2 of the video.